Hello, my friends. I'm Rick, and this is your seat at the table, and we're looking at all things Battletech and Mech Warrior. This would be hotspots in circa 3055, middle of the clan invasion. Look from the Asset Corporation, and there's a bunch of interesting stuff in here. This actually, I believe, is a two-part. There's a second book, and where is it? Yeah, it's right here in my pile of stuff. Part 2 these came together, so contracts, right? This one here is contracts. This one here is general information, things like this. And so we're looking at their circa 3055. We got our introduction, talk about the contract, and there's some interesting points in here. I made a previous video on various types of forces that you can use as a mech unit or in military units that don't have to be necessarily a line unit for a house. But so from employers, we're talking making the offers, working for interspirit governments, planetary governments. So mercenary units working for planetary governments also could be planetary government military units. Some when you have, let's just look once again, 3025. I like picking on the Federated Suns. Some 500 plus officially settled worlds according to Comstar. Probably twice that many when you get to the unofficial side. It's just not practical for the House Davion and the Federated Suns military to have line units on every world. They just would have to have hundreds and hundreds of regiments they do not have. Most of these worlds then are defended by either detachments from various line units, mercenary units, or provincial march units, which would be regional defense units, and then the local militias, the local planetary guard, and things like this, as I mentioned. So it's quite practical and reasonable to expect that many worlds that are concerned about their security for a number of different reasons, from bandits to incursions from other outside houses, including the clans now, that would have local guards, local security forces, local military that's responsible and answers only to the government political bodies or the government noble lord who's assigned to that planet. And keep in mind, we're looking at a feudal system. So even if a world claims to have a democracy or socialism or some weird government system that's a very unique to them, they're still overseen and they're responsible to a particular appointed official that's, quote, some kind of noble, part of the nobility system. And each great house has a tendency to use their version of titles and things, but the similarities and their control is the same. Anyway, it's quite plausible for these planets to have their own forces and to hire mercenary units to do this. The other one was the businesses, and says more and more businesses are hiring mercenaries every day. Raids on transport ships have become a commonplace, and mercs are guaranteed to see action on a mission, etc., etc. Some of these are being defending. They're just defending. The companies are defending their facilities and their interests. Their transport ships. Sometimes they're hired to do other things, such as covert operations on another business. Perhaps they want to acquire some information or blueprints or technical specialists or whatever, etc., etc. So once again, just reinforces my commentary that the standard combat units we see in Battletech are not the end all to be all. They are not. They are the exception to the rule. That there's probably far more non-house military line unit organizations and military units out there than there are the other way around. And then, of course, it goes into periphery realms, and it covers things. In this last one, it says other employers. Many other organizations employ all types of mercenary units. Other mercenary units may subcontract. All are part of a mission. Crime lords may need extra muscle for legitimate endeavors. Individual or coalitions of nobles may hire mercs to achieve a private ambition. Special event organizers may hire mercs as special as security forces, etc., etc. It just goes to show that there's really no end to the opportunities for your units to exist and what their purpose are in the game, right? So we go on about more information on the contract, dealing with mission headaches, supplies, locals, regular forces, other mercs, weather, terrain, finding work, choosing the right mission, signing a contract, etc. Then we got force archetypes, light rating parties, heavy rating party, medium rating party. They got the charts to allow you to make these things. And what I like about this, what I really liked about this, is that if you're playing a traditional kind of tabletop melding of a role-playing game versus a war game. In a war game, traditionally, if you have a couple players or two players, you and one other person, you pair off. You do one, you represent one side, the other person plays the other side, and you fight it out. Sometimes, though, you might find yourself hosting another person, and so you want to have them, and they have their unit, and they want to do something, and you say, okay, well, let's see what you're going to come up against, and this gives you the ability to randomly roll a composition for an opposing force, or what's an op for that scenario. And I like these charts because of that reason. So small planetary garrison, medium planetary garrison. These things also give you the opportunity to flush out NPC organizations and things like that, especially on the fly when you need to, that doesn't involve you spending an inordinate amount of hours trying to specifically piece together something. And it also gives a variety that you might not automatically come to subconsciously. Just pointing that out. Large planetary garrison. So we got lance generation tables. So the following tables provide weight categories, technology levels, successor state for each mech in current use. Please note Battlemech and vehicle technology for 3025 and 3050 is the same. Game Master should use the tech level appropriate to the location and the origin of the opposing forces. To determine the quality of attacking forces equipment, use the random damage table on page 14. Determine the appropriate tech level for units originating in the periphery realms, or for pirate bands, use the table column for inner sphere realm closest to periphery world in question, according to the periphery proximity table, which makes sense. If you're going to have a bandit operation that's operating on the borders of the Federated Suns, the odds are its composition of equipment, machines, techs, mechs, and tanks and things are likely to be Davion manufactured, as opposed to Caridan manufactured or Steiner manufactured. That's not to say they wouldn't have the oddball in there, but the truth is they would have acquired, stolen, bought, purchased, whatever, majority of their equipment from the Federated Suns or within the Federated Suns. So light mechs, medium mechs, etc. So we got all these nice charts. Lots of good variety of options and stuff. Then we got track vehicles, wheeled vehicles, VTOLs, hover vehicles. And it gives us the current political situation, state of the inner sphere. Historians have dubbed the 31st century the century of change. No other time in the history of mankind has witnessed such a dramatic change in political balance. Even a broad list easily reveals the depth and turmoil that has gripped the inner sphere. It goes on. State of the inner sphere as of 3055. Dakota's Combine, Federated Commonwealth, Free World League, Helen Confederation, Periphery, St. Ives, Free Ragahaus. Is that how that's pronounced? Ragahaus? I have as you well know, if you listen to my videos, I have a terrible time pronouncing things, and I butcher stuff all the time. One of the advantages of watching more and more videos online from other creators and other sources for Battletech is listening to other people pronounce things. And over time, I'm starting to, I used to not be able to pronounce hegemony very well, but I can do it pretty good now. And that's from saying it many times, but also hearing other people actually pronounce it. So the Ragahaus, and I'm still trying to get that, because that's one of those tongue twisters for me. It's just brutal. So game mastering mission briefs. so on and so forth. So what this is the this would be the game master for version of a contract. So what's going on behind the scenes, and this is where the other half of this book comes in. So if we look at hotspots, this will be the player side of things, of situation, contracts, objectives, so on and so forth. So if we look at, let's see, let's find the first one here. Contract 5601. So, one potential contract for your would-be mercenary unit would be this one here. Yeah. Baroness Tasma of Gonhot controls the entire South Continent of Honar and continues to batter the local forces defending the northern continent. She hires mercenaries of all kinds, although she prefers military units. She's also employing special forces agents as saboteurs and spies to harass the northern Mech facilities and ammo depots. Contract does not detail transport or salvage rights, but both points are negotiable. Terrain: planet Honar is a water-poor world that until recently was unremarkable in every other way. Small world has two continents separated by the planet's only major body of water, the Great Divide River. The river's waters run crystal clear. The capital city, Honar, is Homefront City. So, this is the contract. The objective, the actual details behind it, is, so I'll put that there since they're technically part of the same series. Marcus Unlock is known as a reasonable, or no, that's the right one. Yeah. Behind the scenes, the Baroness is currently marshaling her forces for another massive thrust to gain a foothold on Honar's northern continent. It's increasingly important that the Baroness Tasma conquer Honar soon, for her homeworld is beginning to feel the economic drain of war. Opposition to the Baroness's efforts is growing, marked by the protests and other signs of unrest. The situation could deteriorate to the point where some mercs may not see a paycheck. In addition to the uncertainty of payment, the mercs may encounter other difficulties in the mission. Baroness demands total control over her forces, regular or hired, and often leads her troops into battle personally. Her awesome blazing away at anything that moves. Supplies will be almost impossible to obtain, as the Baroness rules with such a poor world that many traders claim to not even know Gronholt's location. The Federated Commonwealth has finally noticed the conflict between these two worlds, and many seek to resolve it soon, or may seek to resolve it soon. If the House government sides with Duke Diedman, the characters may find themselves out of work and unable to collect their pay. Interfering in Federated Commonwealth business will also likely make the Mercian unwelcome in that realm for a while. The characters may have trouble with the resistance fighters operating on the southern continent. Though poorly armed, these partisans are determined and have managed to create several problems for troops already stationed there. The Game Master can use a medium rating party archetype for the Baroness troops garrisoning Honar. Map of Honar appears on page 65. Opposition: Duke Diedman mounts a force equivalent to the large planetary garrison archetype. The Duke is a competent strategist and currently fighting a defensive war. He was caught unaware by the Baroness' initial attack on Honar and could not save the southern continent. He hopes to use the resistance fighters operating from the countryside to regain his precious resources. So basically what the scenario is your unit is contracted and hired by this one minor noble who is pressing a claim militarily wise on an adjacent world in the system, who's controlled by a higher ranked noble, a duke. The duke is still both. These planets are so backwater that the majority of the Federated Suns just recently becomes aware that there's a problem here, which suggests that there's not a lot of merchant traffic and information flowing in and out of the world. So it's literally one of the backwaters of the Federated Suns. And I imagine this is a common thing. Maybe not something that happens every day, but one noble decides they want to be a bigger noble. And to achieve this goal, they're going to eliminate their competition, which is the person above them in the hierarchy of things. And apparently this duke is such a minor duke in the scheme of the Federated Suns that he is unable to whistle up, even more higher defense or assistance from the higher ups, or there's such a remote location that the Federated Suns, militarily speaking, is kind of very stretched thin on a normal day, and with dealing with the clan incursions and issues in the Compelling Confederation and so on and so forth, along with the growing issues in the other half of the Federated Commonwealth, they're ignoring this because it's not spilled out. It's considered a local problem. Let these two nobles figure it out, kind of thing. So that's just what these basically comes down to. So these are actually nice books, and I've had some success using a few bits and pieces out of them. So like I said, if you get a chance to get a hold of one of these PDF versions, I don't know that this is something that you can get. You might still be able to buy it from a used bookstore or from a game store, because I don't know what popularity level of it is. I doubt that Catalyst, this is obviously a faster product, so I doubt the Catalyst has reproduced it or any of that stuff. But anyway, it's an interesting set of books and part of my collection. Till next time, this is Rick, and I hope you guys have a great 4th of July weekend.